Between work deadlines, juggling soccer practice, and trying to get a moment to yourself, it is no wonder that sex gets lives. A lot of things can take the back seat in your marriage, but if this one thing does, you can kiss your marriage goodbye. Here's the thing. How do you conversation? That's really it.
How do we actually start creating a sex calendar?
How do you start creating a sex calendar? Here's the thing. How do you initiate the conversation? That's really it. Like, this is not like we're going to sit down and we're going to come up with like
Org chart.
An org chart of like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not it. But it's like, it's starting the conversation. I think number one, it comes down to, for me personally, it comes down to humility and like knowing that I obviously am not living up to the standard that you need, right? And so I need to be humble about that. Like, you have a desire. And again, like reframing your brain of, oh my gosh, this is all he wants. It's like, no, you want it from me.
Right.
Like, I'm the person that you're chasing after. And I need to be thankful for that, because there are other marriages where that's not the case. They are chasing other things. And so that's kind of where my brain had to switch to.
That's good.
Of like, I'm grateful for that versus like, this is just another thing that I have to do. It's like, no, I'm grateful that you're, chasing after me. But number one, practicalities. That's just like, that was me. And so that might be.
I think that's also like, because Simon Sinek said it and you just did it. It's starting with the why. Because again, you can put all the stuff down that we're going to go through, but if you don't have that why internally in your heart and your spirit of why you're doing this, you're going to fall off the bandwagon.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, here's a shameless plug. We've got the Blueprints of Marriage workbook coming out very soon, and it's learning your why behind your marriage in general, not just sex. And so look for that. That's coming very soon. We're like on the very end of the details and the polishing and all that kind of stuff. But I think that's going to help you understand your why in marriage in general.
Yep.
And then it'll trickle down to all these different areas. But number one, choosing the right time and the right setting. You know your spouse.
Yep.
I know you. I know the buttons to push to make you irritated. I know the things that you like. I know the things that you don't like. And instead of getting mad about those things, I want to respect those things. And so we don't talk about heavy things in the bedroom, like in the bed, right?
Yep.
We don't talk about bills in the bed. We don't talk about stuff that's going on in church, like all of those. Well, we try not to. I'm not saying it's like a never thing, but like I know those things. And I am open to when you like shut me down when I start to. And so knowing those times, like when is the best time to bring something like this up?
Not at a frustrated time either.
Not at a frustrated time. This is like you personally. So I want you guys to like put your spouse in this. But my guess is that your husband, like again, I'm talking, you're going to have to give me your perspective, like from you of like when I'm frustrated. But like for me and my husband, if you are a woman listening to this, and I'm going to just assume, right? But if it's wrong, just, move along. For you, if you are hungry and you are tired, I am not talking about heavy issues. And so this is one of them. And I don't know. I think you have low blood sugar. I don't know what it is.
100%.
It's just like, he's like hulking it out. And so I know not to talk about those heavy issues. So know when your spouse is best to receive.
Yeah. So for you, I know it's definitely not when you're stressed, when you've had a long day at the home of cleaning, taking care of the kids all over you all day, because the last thing you're overtouched. The last thing you want to talk about is more touch, especially for me. So really for me, it's even knowing like, okay, we are out and away, probably on a date night, or it's like this, right? We're working on the podcast. We're
recording. You want to talk about it right now?
100%. We'll just edit this part out. Or we'll just show people how do you do it.
This is how you do it.
But it's like that, just knowing your spouse,
I think it's personality too. Like for me, I know I'm a type A. I'm a perfectionist on the Enneagram, and it drives me nuts. And so it's like, if I'm already feeling defeated, like, please don't bring it up.
Right.
Please don't like kick me when I'm down.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff.
100%.
You got to know your spouse.
Yep. And that goes into number 2, which is like, even with this, it's not like kicking them when they're down, right? Because it's not saying you don't have enough sex with me. You're not intimate enough with me.
Yeah.
It's really saying, like, what I noticed with us is like, our schedule's been crazy. You know, I noticed that we haven't been able to be more intimate. So what if we tried this? Because you're not trying to shame your spouse.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to the why. When you're really having the healthy conversation and you're realizing, both of you, like internally, and just like all the things you've said, this is the only thing that we can give each other, right? He is chasing me, no one else.
Yeah, it's perspective. You know, I do want to say this. This is like something personal, like just so you know, I haven't even shared this with you, but like something personal that I like literally received from the Lord this morning. And so maybe this is a word from you. It's all about your perspective. I was reading in Hebrews this morning. I think it was Hebrews 11, 1-4. And it was talking about like our faith. And you think of all like the men of faith and the women of faith in the Bible. And like, what was the difference between those who had like high faith and did great things for God and those who didn't? I believe it was all about perspective. Think about the men who went in and came back after they were like spying on the promised land. Yeah. You know, how many were there? 10 of them came back and were like, there's no frickin' way. These guys are giants. There's no way we can do it. And the other 2 were like, oh, we've got this. It was their perspective. Yeah. And so like, whatever you're dealing with in it is the only thing you have a choice of is like choosing your perspective.
That's good.
I think of all the people just in general, good marriages, good relationships, like optimism and all of that kind of stuff. It is choosing what you're focusing on and choosing your perspective of things. And so if you get into a headspace where it's like always negative, always hard, whatever the case may be, like you need to self-evaluate. If you change your perspective of like, oh no, like all the things you're just saying, like how I felt versus like how I like choose to think of like, oh my gosh, this is just another thing. I'm so tired. I was doing this all day. Me, I versus like, oh my gosh, no, like I get to like offer this, right? To you. And I'm the only one that can do that. Yeah. It's all about your perspective.
That's so good. Number 3, frame it as a prioritizing in your relationship. So scheduling is about being intentional and nurturing your connection. Like we said, it's not just about sex. It's about connection. It's about intimacy. Number 4, acknowledge potential awkwardness. Okay. Like there could be awkwardness. I'm like, okay, it's on the calendar. Do you start? Do I start? How do we start this?
Well, here's the thing to think about it. I think about like, we've been going to the gym for a long time. I play sports my whole life. So for me, like working out isn't awkward, but I just know all these people coming to the gym, J1. Well, today's the 2nd, but January 1, they're starting and it's awkward for them, but they showed up. You show up this morning. I did not have time to do my full workout. But I did 30 minutes on the treadmill on an incline. I maximized my time. Right. And so just showing up and being in the awkwardness, right? How do you get better? You keep doing it. It's anything you do first is going to be awkward. It's, you know, especially in the bedroom. Like it might be awkward for you, but the only way for it to be less awkward is to do it more often.
100%.
Yeah.
I love that. So with that, start small, okay? So I did this with Krissy. I said, let's just try it for a month. Because again, you were kind of like, I don't know about this, you know? But it is, because again, it's like, will this work? I'm not trying to put pressure on you for something that might not even work for us. So it's like, hey, let's just do a trial, you know? Like, let's not make it like such a, like, hey, we're gonna do this for a year. No, start small. Do it for 4 weeks, do it for 2 weeks, see if it works out, you know? The next one, be open to concerns, okay? Asking the questions to your spouse. Because again, probably one of you is watching this and you're into it. Maybe both of you are, but maybe one of you like, I don't know. So just ask them, what do you think about the idea? Is there anything that makes you feel unsure about it? You know, like, and again, that's what we did. We had that conversation and you already shared, you know, on here what your thoughts were like, hey dude, you go to the extreme. So I know. But so that was a conversation. So have that conversation because it needs to be healthy. What we need to do in marriage is we need to create spaces of having healthy conversations and conflict. Because too many people don't have healthy conversations with bosses, with friends, with siblings, with whoever. And then that bleeds over into marriage where it's like, okay, we'll talk about all their issues, right? All the people that we have issues with, but then we still don't talk about our issues.
Right.
And so it's just like, hey, like I'm not mad at you. You're not mad at me. And like what we always say with people, especially like in ministry, as we're meeting with them, is that I love them. This is what we believe. I love them. They love me. I want the best for them. They want the best for me. Mm-hmm. And that's what we do with each other. It's like, I love you. I want the best for you, and vice versa. So I'm open to your questions. You know,
I think about all the conflict that we've ever gone through in our life, or if you've been in a conflict with like whoever, think about that relationship. If you do it in an unhealthy way, it splits the relationship. But if you do it in a healthy way, it actually brings you closer.
Yeah.
And it brings you like a deeper relationship with you and that person. So think about it with your spouse. Like if you love them and they love you, you want what's best for them and they want what's best for you. You're not trying to be right.
Right.
You're trying to make it work for your marriage. And so if you do this conflict correctly, this is just going to bring you more intimate.
Yep.
Going back to the humility at the very beginning, like come humble, come to make sure your spouse's needs are being met, right? Yep. Like that is the goal. If you want your needs met, you can't be selfish about it and just expect them to meet your needs and make you comfortable and satisfied and all that kind of stuff without giving that in return.
100%.
That's not fair and that's not marriage.
Yep.
And so allow conflict to make you guys better.
Yeah.
Number 8, make it fun. I feel like this doesn't need an explanation, but make it fun.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't this be a fun thing?
Your date night's fun. Well, I hope your date night's fun.
We have a whole nother podcast about fun date nights.
And we have a free PDF linked below. If you're like, hey, I need some ideas for date nights. There you go. Free for you.
Yeah. If that's not fun, that's on you because we have totally provided those things for you. But suggesting that scheduling can also be an opportunity to plan special or themed nights to keep things exciting.
Yeah. We already talked about this. You want to emphasize the flexibility, you know. Krissy thought I'd be disappointed. It's like, no, I just have in my mind we're doing this tonight. If not tonight, see you at breakfast.
Oh my gosh. Number 10, suggest planning together, having the conversation. You came with your expectations, right? And we actually did have this conversation probably a couple months ago now, like planning it, having like an expectation of like how many times per week. And that's kind of how our calendar has evolved. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I just want to say like, we just had a number. It wasn't like a night. And like I had to come to you and I said like, listen, because of the health issues that I was dealing with, like I physically could not meet those expectations.